Okay, so we're going to go over this together. This is a justification question because for my 10th graders, you will be taking the ACT Aspire, and you've got to make sure you know how to write these questions correctly. For my 11th and 12th graders, you're going to be taking the actual ACT, and you're going to be hopefully taking some kind of an AP math class or AP English class, and you need to know how to write these questions correctly. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? So it applies to everybody in here. All right, so there is an easy way to write these justifications, and it's called MACE. And yes, it stands for something, don't worry. All right, so the M stands for modeling. There's not really anything to model in this problem except for your work. So let me show you what I mean by modeling. Take your calculators and tell me what the square root of 12 is. The decimal. Everybody in here's got calculators. I see 2 people actually doing it. I haven't got an answer yet. 8.46? 3. Okay, that sounds better. Alright, what about the square root of 35? 5.91? Okay. And the square root of 67? How much? 1/8. And then you better not even need your calculator for this one. What's the square root of 81? 9, okay? So it says, which one doesn't belong? So you've modeled, right? You've modeled showing what you did. And then A stands to answer the question. So it says, which one doesn't belong? You answer the question by saying the square root of 81, right? And then the, what does C stand for? All right, show your calculations, which we did. This was a pretty easy one, right? We can show our calculations all right here. And then E is explain. So here's where the explanation comes in, and this is where a lot of us are weak on, especially when I'm seeing some of your tests. When we talk about, is it a function, is it not a function, y'all are putting yes and no, you're not putting function or not a function, you're just being a little lazy, okay? So let's make sure that we write this correctly. So this is how you need to start this. You can say, I know that the square root of 81 is my answer because. That's how you need to say it. Somehow in the question, you need to say, I know my answer is because. Does that make sense to everybody? And how do we know that the square root of 81 was my answer? What was my reasoning? Because it's the what? The only perfect square. Very good. Very good. Was that Scotty that said that? Very good job, Scotty. Remind me, I'll do pizza candy in a minute. Alright, so I know that the square root of 81 is my answer because it's the only perfect square. Are y'all good? We're going to do one like this at least once a week, and then we're going to start getting to where we do them twice a week with y'all, okay? So we're going to work on not only ACT questions, but our writing questions for our ACT Aspire for my 10th graders and for AP exams for 11th and 12th graders, okay? Everybody okay with that? Alright, so here we go. We are going to do 2 things today. We are going to do a review in our workbook, and then we're going to take a checkpoint today. Does that make sense to everybody? All right. So your workbook is page 23. Excuse me. Y'all, I'm exhausted today. And we're only going to do 1 through 4. We're going to graph them. And we're going to find domain and range. And we're going to do our checkpoints, okay? 23, 1 through 4.